Hi everyone, welcome back to another video, and again we're looking at the 249. And if you've paid attention to this build series, you'll have known that I had a bit of an issue with it being a little bit high on the FPS when we took that restrictor out. However, I did purchase a valve. You can get the VFC valves. This one's the same thing, but it's labelled up as a Clarence Lye one. But it's pretty much doing the same job. So I'm going to show you today, or we're going to do it together, and we're going to get the valve switched out on this VFC Gas Blowback 249. So it's dead simple design. It's just a little plastic valve. It's got a thumb grub screw that goes through the centre of it, so when it's in the gun you can adjust the valve forwards and backwards like that. I've never took this thing apart before, so I'm not insanely certain on how these things come about, but we're going to give it a go. I imagine it's fairly simple. There's a block that sits in here. I imagine that has to come out. There's a screw. Is there a screw? So we'll see how this comes about. I'm not sure if that's a pin or what holds it in. So let's just get cracking and we'll find out together. I'm going to take this latch sort of, I'm not really sure what this part's called. This little steel piece on the side here. Let's get that taken off. Two little countersunk Phillips screws. So we'll do, they are quite long, so I imagine it does hold that block in. Freakishly long. Yeah. Take one out. Drop your screwdriver. Make sure you do that. We'll take the second one out. Very fine thread on these screws, so just be careful when putting them back in. Make sure we don't over tighten them. So that's going to allow us to pull that out now, but it's going to be retained at the back because there is a spring. So we'll loosen this off as well, just to make sure. It's like free spinning, so you want to do this very carefully. I think I did see someone else do something similar, and they were saying basically don't push down on the screw as you loosen it off. And then we can pull the system out there. We've got the nozzle, we've got the block which goes in as well. I believe it went in. Did it go in that way or did it go in the other way? I think it went in the other way, didn't it? So that goes in there like that. Dead simple. It's what we like. That's the piece. So it's got two flat faces, so we're just going to have to be careful when we're putting that back in. What is the spring like? Not too bad at all. Fairly generic. So we need to get the valve out of here. So we're going to need to pull this apart. Usually there's pins. It looks like there's a pin at the back there. So maybe we can pull that out and remove this assembly. Let's just take that little O-ring off. Yeah, it looks like that pin, so let's punch it out. Got anything nice and thin to push it out here? Might need to tap it. Just make sure it's not an Allen key or something else. Let's hold that in place and give it a tap. So it's just a tappy pin. Let's get some pliers. Pull this pin out. There we go. So if you're looking at the nozzle where the loading arm's at the bottom, we pushed it out that way. And are we going to be able to push the rest of the assembly out now? Or are we going to have something else to remove? Let's have a look here. Don't think there's any more pins. Give it a push, there we go. Just needs a push. Got a long assembly here. Got the valve there. There will be a spring. Will there be a spring? Yeah, there's a spring there as well. Leave that there. So this basically sits in like so. And that's how it works. So we're going to take this one out. I've got the adjustable one. What we've done with it, there it is. And you'll see it's pretty much the same. This one actually is able to sit a little bit further back. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the screw where the standard one is. Let's get a little Allen key here. I'm guessing it's a 1.5. Yeah. And it will be nice and tight to turn, which is good because you don't want it unwinding. So we'll set this the same. So about there. And then all we do is pull that spring out so we know it's seated properly. Spring goes on your valve there. This goes on there like so, like that. And then this should only go in one way. Which way did that go? I believe it would be like that. So let's orientate it correctly. We'll push that into place. Just pay attention when you're doing this step just to make sure it all goes in place properly. There, you might be able to see it. Let's adjust the camera. The valve can be seen just through the window, and then once this is all set in place, it actually holds itself on that arm. We can put our 1.5mm Allen key in, index it into the hole of the valve, and then we could turn it clockwise and counterclockwise. So clockwise will decrease it, counterclockwise will increase it. With that in, I'm going to drop this part into place, and we're going to have to line that up with the hole like that. Push the pin back in, give it a tap, let it fall out again. Like that there. Before you tap it in all the way, what you want to do is you just want to make sure, so you just get the spring, extend it, it's working. We can tap that home and the job is good. So you don't necessarily need this valve. I've seen a few people, and what they've done is they've just got a bit of like old credit card or something, and they've just shimmed this flat face that angles this way. They've just shimmed that a little bit, push the valve a little bit forward, and then that works absolutely fine. Put the O-ring back on this little piece here. Now I think putting this back together is going to be a little bit of a nightmare, but we'll see how we do. It goes on there like that. Slide this back in, and you'll see it needs to be indexed into that hole. Like so. Not the most insane fitment on this, but what we want to make sure is when we're tightening this up, we're not pushing towards the front of the nozzle. We just want to do rotational motion, not downwards force until it's seated down far enough, because we don't want it just rotating inside. So once you've got the screw on your screwdriver, so I'm just rotating it. I'm not putting any forwards force onto it. Just keep going like that, and then you'll feel it bite. Then you can nip it down, and then that's seated correctly. We get our little plate, we'll push that back in to the bolt here. We need our steel plate on the front. Well, that's all lined up, we're just gonna pop a screw in to hold it. I know I'm using the wrong tool here, but no force required, and it was the first one that was handy. So that's just going to hold it in place, and we can put the other screw in. And then we'll switch to this tool, and we'll screw it down. Be careful not to over tighten any of these screws. You're not working with insane materials here. You know, the bolt does look like some kind of like pop metal. Could be wrong, but that's just what it looks like. So we want to snug it down, but we don't want to go too tight. And then that plastic plate will hold the nozzle from being pulled out too far. And there we go, we've fitted our end pass. So what will be interesting to see, just wipe my hands here, is how easy it is to adjust when it's in the 249. So we'll pop the bolt back in here, line that up, in it goes, press the trigger to let the bolt sit forward. Once that's in, recoil spring, and in we go. So when it's in the gun, are we going to be able to adjust it? So what to do with that Allen key? Yeah, it's going to be a pain, so it's probably just a case of open the gun up, pop the stock down, pop the spring out, pull the bolt out and adjust it. At least with it being nice and snug on that screw, it shouldn't self-adjust it. So there we go, we're almost there. A couple of extra pieces until we're ready for our game. I did pick up something the other day just because I know when running these guns, I've seen on sites before people run 249s, and some sites will say like, oh, you know, you don't have to take your box mag off and everything like that if you've got like a barrel sock or something to put on the side there. And this is a gas 249. As soon as I disconnect that airline, this gun cannot fire. That being said, you've got to cater for the idiot. I don't mean cater for the idiot who, you know, running the site, but, you know, a lot of people there might not understand that. I will, of course, go into a safe zone, extract the mag, disconnect the airline, but the dummy box mag, which has no function whatsoever than to just look correct, will still be attached. So what I did is I grabbed myself a little barrel sock here, and yeah, memes for the win. And then I can just slide that over the barrel, and it's just peace of mind. People don't need to complain. Then I can just loop that round the handle, and, you know, even though it can't fire, you're just telling people, look, I've done my due diligence, and, you know, this gun is safe. So that fits nice and perfectly over there. This, as well as the air tank, will be running on I got from BZ Paintball in the UK. So if you want something similar for yours, hit them up. They do a load of different styles. I just thought that was kind of funny because, you know, people are probably going, oh, you get your mag in your gun type thing, and there's going to be me. So yeah, there we go. Next video will be me fitting the new stock. So I think that's arrived today. Today being, what day is it? It's Wednesday, the 29th, I believe, of November. So next video will probably be the fitting that stock. Thanks for tuning into this video. Hope this has helped you. And as always, from me and Bench, we'll see you in the next video.